Good evening, community. Welcome to another episode of Both Sides of the Conversation. It is Thursday, September the 7th, 2023. So, you know what that means? We have another fantastic educational Thursday for you. My name is Mark Scott. I am the co host here, Both Sides of the Conversation, but I am not by myself this time. I am joined by my amazing co host, Miss Io White. Io, say something to the community.
Good evening, community. How we've missed you. We had a nice long weekend, and in my absence, my brother Mark here has held it down. Thankfully, we do have a great team here, which we all support each other, and we're very, very community bound and bonded. So great to be back and getting our show started for you guys this evening.
We are definitely glad to have you as well as our amazing team working backstage, making sure everything flows smoothly. And of course, we got to give a shout out to the bishop, Mr. John Henry, who's out in the community. So we will be holding it down in his stead. And as always, we want to make sure that we give you all the news and information. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the headlines, jumping into the world news. First headline reads Body of missing Netflix engineer found in San Francisco Bay. This is truly a sad story. The remains of Johannes Stefanos Kandane, a 22-year-old Netflix engineer who had recently relocated to San Jose, were discovered in the waters of the San Francisco Bay near the Golden Gate Bridge. Kandane, originally from Webster, New York, had been reported missing since August 14th after moving to the Bay Area for his job. A postmortem examination revealed the cause of death as blunt impact injuries, with drowning as a significant factor, and it is determined to be a suicide. Kindane's family had previously reported his disappearance shortly after he began working for Netflix, and police found no evidence of foul play in his case. Excuse me. Next headline. What to know about San Francisco's messy legal battle over homeless encampment sweeps. San Francisco is embroiled in a contentious legal dispute over homeless encampment sweeps. Last year, the Coalition on Homelessness, represented by the ACLU of Northern California and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights of the San Francisco Bay Area, alleged that San Francisco violated federal precedent by criminalizing homeless individuals without providing adequate shelter. In response, U.S. Magistrate Judge Donna Ryu issued a preliminary injunction in December 2022, limiting the city's ability to conduct homeless encampment sweeps. This decision, based on the city's failure to provide sufficient shelter options, has been met with both support and criticism. The city appealed the injunction, leading to ongoing legal and political debates with no resolution in sight as of yet. Next headline. Burning Man Festival attendees' suspected cause of death revealed as cleanup begins after Exodus. Following the end of Burning Man's festival in Nevada, organizers are facing a massive cleanup challenge due to the chaos created by heavy rainfall, flooding, and muddy conditions. Thousands of festival goers were trapped for days, resulting in abandoned vehicles, furniture, and trash scattered throughout the site. As the leave no trace principle is a fundamental tenet of the festival, organizers have committed to restoring the site over the next 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the attendee, 32-year-old Leon Reese, was found unresponsive during the event. While the exact cause of his death is yet to be confirmed, drug intoxication is suspected based on a statement from the Washoe County Medical Examiner's Office. And our final headline, DC police searching for homicide suspect who escaped a university hospital in Washington, D.C. The DC Metropolitan Police Department is actively searching for Christopher Haynes, a 30-year-old homicide suspect who escaped from the George Washington University Hospital in Washington, D.C.'s Foggy Bottom neighborhood. Haynes, described as a black man with shoulder-length dreadlocks and a prominent Washington W tattoo on his neck, was last seen wearing a black t-shirt and gray shorts underneath a white bodysuit, with black handcuffs on one wrist. Authorities have issued cautions considering him armed and dangerous, with temporary road closures near the White House and the university initiating a shelter-in-place order. The FBI has announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. Now, again, I hope that we do find some good news, but let's see if we can get some better news while we turn it over to Miss Ayo for the community events. That will do it for the news.
Definitely some good events coming up in the community. So that'll give us a little lighten the load a bit. Restorative Justice is hosting the 11th annual Reentry Conference and Job Fair Friday, September 8th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. Mary's Cathedral Event Center on 1111 Gulf Street in San Francisco. It's free admission, parking, continental breakfast, and lunch. Doors will open at 7:45 a.m. Pop-Up Village, second Saturdays in the Bayview on September 9th, 2023, from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Engage in self-care and get valuable resources and much more. All pregnant families are welcome. Located between 1201 Mendel Street and the Bayview Opera House in San Francisco. Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice is building a network of leaders to win new safety priority training on Sunday, September 10th. 10 a.m. The location is at 700 Ennis Avenue in San Francisco. Jumuiya Research Institute is hosting a virtual info session Saturday, September 16th at 10 a.m. to discuss community action research from an African-centered ways of understanding. More workshops to be held through June 2024. The San Francisco Human Rights Commission is hosting community engagement sessions August 30th through September 17th, 2023 at multiple locations from Bayview and Western Addition to Potrero Hill, OMI Lakeview, and the Tenderloin. Check the link below. Let your voice be heard at the San Francisco Human Rights Commission Board of Supervisors hearing on final reparations recommendations on Tuesday, September 19th. There will be a rally on City Hall steps at 12 p.m. and the hearing starts at 3 p.m. in City Hall Room 250 at 1 Drive Carlton B. Goodlet Place, San Francisco. We're thrilled to announce that the APRI and Swinnerton are teaming up to bring to you the STEM at the Park event on Saturday, September 23rd, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Indian Basin Shoreline Park in San Francisco. This event is tailor-made for high school students who are passive and passionate for exploring careers in STEM fields. Don't miss out. New vaccination site, COVID-19 booster, monkeypox, antiviral treatment, Thursday, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 330 Ellis Street. Also Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 1221 Mission Street. New vaccination, the San Francisco Justice Project presents the San Francisco Museum All program, free or $3 admission to low-income families in San Francisco all summer long. The community living room open all day, Monday through Friday, breakfast 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and grab and go lunch from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at City of Hope Cafe, 750 Ellis Street in San Francisco. Join the conversation at the YMCA's Men Harambe Cuts Shop Talk. Get a fresh haircut and end the night feeling and looking great. Thursday, October 12th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Bayview YMCA, 1601 Lane Street in San Francisco for ages 14 and up with complimentary refreshments and swag. Push Dance Company Sanctuary Grand Opening will be held. New opening event featuring dance and technology on all 4 levels on Sunday, October 15th at 447 Mina Street in San Francisco. International Shakeout Day on October 19th, 2023 in the world's largest earthquake drill. Register to participate. YCD presents the second annual District 10 Safety Plans Violence Prevention Peace Rally in collaboration with the community partners Saturday, October 21st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be food vendors, raffles, music, and more located at the Monarch Gardens, 428 11th Street in San Francisco. Save the date for the San Francisco Safes Halloween Candy Explosion on October 28th. Admission is free, and the event will include food, carnival games, music, and more. Farmers Market located at the Southeast Community Center, 1550 Evans Avenue, San Francisco, every Thursday now through November 30th, 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They accept cash, debit, and EBT. OMI Cultural Participation Projects, The Lion King, Friday, December 8th at 7:30 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater, 1192 Market Street in San Francisco. Wu Yi presents the Holiday Pajama Jam for the Bottles and Blanket Pantry on December 16th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 4900 3rd Street in San Francisco. They are a new nonprofit and donations are needed. OMI Participation Projects, The Wiz, Saturday, January 28th, 2024, 7:30 p.m. at the Golden Gate Theater, 1 Taylor Street in San Francisco. San Francisco Human Rights Commission has regular bi-monthly commission meetings on the second and fourth Thursdays of each month at 5 p.m. in the City Hall Room 416. You can also attend via Zoom. Be a mentor in SFUSD. Join SFUSD school-based mentoring program, Mentoring for Success. Sign up to volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. Would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Sign up for your Hidden Gems show. Share your expertise on our Educational Thursday or be a panelist on Sunday's conversation. Keep up with both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. BSOTC welcomes individuals who are interested in giving back to their community to join us as volunteers. We value the positive impact volunteers can make and invite you to be a part of our mission to uplift and support our community. BSOT kindly requests your invaluable support for our podcast and community engagement endeavors. We cordially invite you to explore any of our donation links, as your generous contributions will greatly aid us in enhancing our programming. We would like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeeper Initiative and its support for BSOTC's programming. The Dreamkeeper Initiative amplifies the voices of and invests in San Francisco's diverse Black communities to reform public safety and address structural inequities in San Francisco. Be sure to join us this Sunday, September 10th, addressing suicide and mental health in our community. Also, this following Tuesday, September 12th, for our Hidden Gem segment.
All right, Sister Ayo, thank you very much for getting us through all those community events. And now we're getting ready to bring up the man of the hour. We do have an amazing guest in community. I hope y'all are prepared. His name is Mr. Andre Sandford. He was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. He is a loving and devoted husband to his beautiful wife, Miss Victoria Sandford, and the father of his 10-month-old son, Omar Sandford. And he is the program manager for ERAP there in San Francisco. And he's currently running for the California State Assembly in District 18. So with no further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others, Mr. Andre Sandford. You're on mute, brother. You're on mute. Want to make sure we get you off of mute there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scott and Miss White, for allowing for me to come on both sides of the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Well, brother Andre, it is an absolute honor and a privilege to have you here. I see you out in the community, man. You're posted up at the Starbucks, so I know you made time for us, and we really, really appreciate that. So, we want to first give you an opportunity to formally introduce yourself and let the people know who you are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, again, everyone, my name is Andre Sandford. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. Um, After I graduated from high school, I attended Jacksonville State University. Jacksonville State University is not Jackson with Deion Sanders. I wish, but I get asked that all the time. But it's in Alabama, so I went there, got my master's in behavioral science, undergrad in liberal arts. I spent a little time in Georgia, 2 years working in foster care at CPS, working with the youth and families in the communities in the state of Georgia. I was employed in foster care in Detroit, Michigan. I gained a lot of experience just working with the community, working with the most vulnerable people in the communities. And then in 2019, me and my wife made that transition and came to California, where I just learned how to just integrate in the community. I worked with in mental health, intentional. Sorry about that. That's what one of the young ladies here. But I work with FSP, and mental health in San Jose, and then I transitioned and work with Tay youth, ages 18 to 24. It was really, really heartfelt working in the Oakland community with some of the most vulnerable community in California, and now I'm working with MMC, and working with ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, supporting the community of San Francisco with housing, forward rent, back rent, and moving assistance and other resources as well to help our community out. And I decided to run for state assembly. I just decided to run for state assembly. Recently, I was robbed. I was robbed twice in front of my apartment in Oakland on Broadway. The first time I was robbed, my wife was gone, visiting family. Um, she's from Virginia, but her family lives in Georgia. And then the second time, she was present. So we was kind of getting plotted on coming out our apartment, me going into our apartment. The guy came around and kind of uplifted his shirt, and we saw something. We didn't know if it was a gun or not, so I walked my wife up. And when I came down, I saw them breaking in my car again. And then when they drove past, they had the little gun. They waved it at me, and I didn't know if I was gonna live or die. So I decided to jump in. As a man, I want to protect my family, and so the best thing I could do is run. So I decided to get in. The incumbent now is Mia Banta. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. She's a wonderful state rep, but I decided to run in to keep my family safe and the community of Oakland, Alameda, and Emeryville safe as well.
Sister Ayo.
That was a lot. So that's, I would say, the best reason for running, right? You want to make the change that is necessary, considering um, everything that's been already in play. And we do have some great candidates. However, I think that experience alone kind of, for lack of a better word, lit the fire under you. And it's like, I can't complain about what's not happening if I'm not trying to be a part of the solution. So I commend you on that. Not tucking your tail is flight or fight, right? And I think this is the best side to be on in the fight for, us getting our streets back, getting our communities back. This is here at both sides of the conversation. That is what we're about, building up and restoring our communities, um, for lack of guidance in model behavior, we have so much crime out there because a lot of the kids and, just young adults alone. This is where we find most of these things are happening under the hands of these young adults. They don't have someone to stand up. They don't have somebody with the model behavior, and they don't have the resources. So they turn to what they know. And it's unfortunate that it's going against your own community, your own kind. Needless to say, whomever it is that falls to the hands and becomes victims, shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. And I thank you for taking your story and utilizing it as tackling fuel to go ahead and make the necessary changes. Um, that's amazing.
Thank you so much, Miss White.
Wow. And again, I wanted to get first, I wanted to ask you about ERAP, but since you opened this can of worms with that kind of traumatic experience, like I say, I'm here in Houston, Texas. And, we got to, don't mess with Texas. We got that saying for a reason. And I know as a man, your first instinct is to want to do something in the moment, but you had the presence of mind to say, you know what, let me be strategic. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to actually run for the state assembly. How does the position, once you're elected, how will that give you the ability to influence the actual circumstances there in the community? Well, what resources and tools would that role put it at your disposal?
Good question, Mr. Scott. So the first thing I'm planning on doing once I'm elected at state assembly is one, lighting a fire on Governor Newsom, saying that, hey, we need to do a statewide recruitment, right? We have some good young brothers and sisters at these HBCUs, and California has some of the leading salaries across America for police officers, right? So we need to go do a mass search all across America, not just the HBCUs, but I want to specifically bring it to HBCUs because I want to increase the population for black and brown people in the state of California. Hit Howard, hit Miles, the small college, Miles College, Bethune Cookman, FAMU, to bring those criminal justice programs to those students, to California, to Oakland, to LA. That's one of the first things I want to do. The second one is why we seeing that our cities is under staff, especially District 18, of course, San Francisco as well, lighting a fire with my peers and saying, "Hey, if we're not going to have the staff here, we're going to make sure that we bring them here. So we're going to bring the state troopers inside of our cities to make sure that we police our areas, so mothers and grandmas could be able to feel like, hey, if I'm on 70 on 76 and Bancroft, I could walk down the street to the corner store, go get me some tissue or give me some groceries if I need to at night, and not feeling unsafe, right? And then making sure that we get those educated brothers and sisters and that will be intentional and not go out as we see across America as harming individuals, not putting forth the best ethics when policing our community.
Wow, I'm glad to see that you're taking that approach. Again, man, I honestly I think there's a disconnect between the legal system, the political system, and the community. And
Mhm.
again, being a transplant coming from Detroit, how was your journey influenced there for you to make that transition? And again, I understand your experience there wanting to influence you to run for the state district office, but when you decided to make that transition with you and your wife to go to San Francisco, what about it drew you to the community there? And then how did you get involved with ERAP?
What really drew me to come to California was my wife. uh, I was living, so I grew up in District 3 in Detroit, Michigan. So it was one of the worst districts in America. Zip code 48212. I grew up on 6 Mile and Davidson. So my family had a couple homes in the neighborhood. My mom actually gave me a house, but my wife was like, hey, she just did feel like she was safe. Um, and so that at that time that was my fiance. I put her safety first, right? So I didn't want to go back to Georgia. We all see what's going on in Georgia, right, and in the South. So before I came to California, I was getting harassed by the police heavily. Our next door neighbor next to me called me the N word, um, and we just had to deal with that over and over again. Living in the South, going to school in the South, and so I asked her, I said, hey, babe, let's make a transition. I think California is a little bit better, and when we came over here, it was right as far as the racism. It was majorly reduced. You start seeing the integration with everyone. You still had a couple issues with the police over here that we want to change, but it was super different. It's really tolerable and livable. The way I got into uh, E-Rap, it was just, I guess it was just by not by faith, I won't say. I kind of always been into the housing. When I was working for First Place for Youth at Oakland, um, we essentially work with the Tay Youth and AB 12. I don't know if you guys familiar with AB 12 funding. So AB 12 funding houses foster care and juveniles ages 18 to 24, and provide the case management social work services as well. So we was able to just give them that one-on-one support, and actually housing as well. So they had a roommate, and we supported them. We gave them linkages to other services in the community. So it was kind of just full circle, right? And when I got to MMC, it was just like a family. I really love it over there. Just supporting all the individuals that came into America. They kind of remind you of the story that we have a little bit, right? Because as Black people, we are immigrants too. We didn't come voluntarily, but we came forcefully, right? So we are immigrants too, and it kind of remind me that every day when I walk in, like, hey, we are immigrants into this country as well, even though we citizens, and it helped me want to just support others get their foot and a family on the right road. Um, and so I know in California, especially in San Francisco, E-rap is a huge topic, because we see, especially Black and brown individuals, especially Black, we the most um, affected by homelessness. Today, we was going over data today, and it was alarming to me how how high it is as far as the homelessness for the Black community, also the Latino, Latinx community as well. And that's one of the things I want as state assembly. I want to correct, right? Creating safe havens for homelessness. I don't think that we should just go and lock up every individual that's homeless. Um, I'm kind of agreeing. I kind of agreeing with Mayor of San Francisco as far as if you're using drugs out on the street. But I think that we should have a safe haven for individuals that's just homeless, that's mental health, because we see individuals that's mentally inclined every day on the curve and their encampments, and they need somewhere to go. Right? They might not want to go to a shelter. They might not want to go to family, but they might just want somewhere safe for them to go. So providing them an encampment, a sanctuary for them to go, so they can have a peace of mind for themselves. I think this America is for everybody, right? And I don't want to take away those freedoms from them as well.
That's amazing. I appreciate that perspective. I do sincerely. Um, as a potential representative for District 18, what are some of your core issues that you aim to address? And we've heard what your personal reasoning is. How about from your professional perspective? What would be some of your professional experiences that have encouraged you in these goals that you want to obtain as in your potential representation for District 18?
Yes. So when I was at grad school, I had a privilege to be in the Alabama governor's cabinet. I worked for the Alabama Department. I was intern for the Alabama Department of Corrections. Greg Culliver, he was the operational commissioner, and so his role, and I assisted him in his role, was to to manage the operations of all the prisons in the state of Alabama. And so I saw the ins and outs of managing an agency, a large agency. Matter of fact, the largest employment agency in the state. Um, and so um, one of the tasks that I had the liberty to help with is one of the Supreme Court cases that they was that was filed against the state of Alabama. Um, and so within that, we was trying to help create new prisons for the state of Alabama, not to house, but for mental health capacity, for health capacities. And I think that's one of the things we need to do in the state of California, just to make sure that we are rehabilitating our individuals, citizens that's going to prison. So when they come back, they be fully rehabilitated, right? Also, while we're on the topic of rehabilitation, one of my goals is to, as state representatives, create legislations to ensure that we make mandatory that all, if eligible or capable, that's in prison, that they work, right? Just because you in jail, that don't mean don't need to work, right? And making 2/3 of those funds go back home and to their families, right? We see so many in the Black and brown communities that's populated, especially in the Black community, that's in jail, that makes up that population. I want to ensure that those monies goes back into those daughters and those sons, so they can be able to have funding, so moms won't feel that she don't have enough money to put food on the table, clothes on their back to go to schools. I also, uh, in my professional capacity, was able to work for in Detroit was Chief Craig. I was an executive administrator, and it had the privilege to just see how the city and the largest Black controlled city in America runs, especially when it comes to safety. And I saw how they majorly reduced from being a murder capital to around top five. And a lot of people might say, "Hey, that's not a big deal," but that is, from going from number one to number five, reducing that. And he put a lot of policies in place to ensure with the curfews of minors. I think that we need to do that in Oakland. We need to have curfews. We need to hold parents accountable. If your kids is out late, you need to be going to jail. You need to be fined, right? And that's one of the things I want to do as state assembly, is make sure we holding families accountable, mom and dad, not just mom, dad too. Dad, if you in jail, and like I said, we're creating that policy. If you're in jail, you haven't funded. We want to be able to tax you. We want to be able to find you as well, so we can be able to have the nucleus we once had in the 50s and 60s with our families.
Wow, wow. So it's quite obvious. Okay, so you've been involved in the political structures in Michigan, Alabama, now in California. What are some of the differences that you've noticed, or what are some of the things that you've learned in your other experiences? Because you've had such good experience in large political organizations. What do you notice that is different in California, and what do you think that you can add?
Yeah. What I would say is different at California is how liberal California is. They're inclusive to all people, and I think that's amazing. I think we should be inclusive to everyone. Um, as far as their policies, everyone should have the right to vote. Everyone should have the freedoms to be who they want to be. What I believe I can add is HBCUs. That's one of my biggest policies I want to create, or advocations I want to advocate for. We do have an HBCU in California, but I am going to be putting forth a full blast approach, advocacy for a state funded HBCU in California. I think that's something I definitely can add. Um, and just put, and I know I'm not the smartest person, but we have a lot of smart people in California. That's what I believe is different. California has some of the top schools in California. We have Berkeley, we have Stanford, and we have individuals that's been to attend all those schools. And I want to be able to utilize those individuals and create a state funded HBCU, so we can be able to have a place for us, a place that we could call home. If you see in California, one of the things I see majorly difference is the education, right? We seeing and UC Berkeley and Cal State East Bay. And my sister, she attends San Francisco State University. All less than 5% black individuals. I want to increase that. I want to increase that, right? And that's one of the leading cause of why why our community has such a large rate of crime, because we don't have those opportunities to get inside of those schools. Because California is one of the first states to abolish um, affirmative action, right? So once we saw that happen, and we just saw the decrease of black individuals and brown individuals that attend schools, and I want to be able to increase that by creating a state funded HBCU here in the Bay Area.
I believe that considering your personal and professional experience, you would be a great candidate. And I feel that exactly what you said with the affirmative action clause now, motivating our Black and brown children to see that there is a possibility, and not just because we don't have affirmative action that you already get that leeway in, but the work ethic, believing in what you stand on, what you believe in, and fight for it. Put that work ethic in there, because we don't have affirmative action, so there is not a specific percentile now that gives you that little foot in the door. So you're going to have to work twice as hard. The things that you were taught growing up because of the color of your skin, which is so unfortunate, you're going to have to work twice as hard. You're going to have to put in that work. You're going to have to show up and stand out, and showing that you being a person that would be a great candidate because you're modeling the behavior for these children, and you're standing up for them to have the right and the voice to do these things. My question to you is, being a new father, congratulations.
Thank you,
How
thank
do
you,
you
thank you, thank you.
how do you think your perspective on the policies and the community's needs have evolved since the birth of your son? And what
Yes.
ways and what you're fighting for, will it clear the path or make a path for his future?
Yes. Great question. I want to continue to stay on that, or stay on education. I'm gonna answer your question. So with affirmative action, I think they got it wrong. Completely got it wrong. So when I graduated from Detroit Public Schools, the worst public school system in the nation. Actually, our some of the students in Detroit, they actually filed a lawsuit and won, but the governor, I believe, he didn't want to pay the funding. I think the state funding. We pay some of the highest taxes. Detroit pays some of the highest taxes in Michigan, but they wasn't getting that funding back. Uh, and when I graduated with a 1.9 GPA, a 1.9 GPA, right? The worst public school system in America. And when I first went to school, I went to school at Miles College. I didn't go to Berkeley. I didn't go to Stanford. I went to Miles College at HBCU at Fairfield, Alabama, located a little bit outside of Birmingham. And I, I my reading my reading um, was very low, uh, and I struggled, right? But at that HBCU, it really gave me the footing to be able to apply for Jacksonville State a year and a half later and be able to attend at PWI. And and I just want to say that we need to, one, encourage them, like you said, Miss White, to stand on their own and fight. But we also, one of my mentors, she told me one time, we need to hold them accountable as well, right? And so, how can we ask individuals who've been depleted for hundreds of years to compete on the same level? It took me a, a long time. It took me a long time to be able to compete on a level with the UC Berkeley's and the Stanfords. I work with all of them. But to ask an individual child at 17, 18 years old that have a reading level at a fifth grade reader level due to no child left behind is ridiculous, right? So I believe they got it wrong. I believe HBCU in California is the answer. And to answer your question with my son, I think me having my son, it was uh, just gave me the drive to be able to run. I think beforehand I probably would have just put it behind another year. I think having my son just encouraged me to go for all my dreams, right? And to be able to have that new generation of individuals to come up the right way. Even though I came up the right way as well, but to really focus and give it all, to my son. And I'm so appreciative of my wife being super engaged. She's amazing. She's a teacher. She's a third grade teacher as well. And I just know like I have that nucleus to be able to give our son everything he needs, right? And not only I want to be able to give my son everything he needs because it's a community. I want to be able to give everyone, all the children, everything they need, right? So, it as a newly father, I just feel that I should be fighting for all the fathers, all the mothers, all the children out there, and being able to give them that support that they need.
Well, brother, again, I think we done got through all the softball questions here, so we wanted to make sure we covered those easy stuff. And again, being somebody who's involved in politics and who's running for office, how are you going to avoid the and forgive my lack of a better term, but the hypocritical? I'm making promises when I'm campaigning, but once I get in, I'm gonna play the game as usual, like everybody else does. Who really is Andre Sanford? So the people who are going to actually have to vote for you, who are they going to be getting once you get elected to the state assembly? What's your character really like, brother?
Yeah. So me me being from Detroit, it really just drives my character, right? I just seen. So I'm gonna just go back. At I think I was 11 years old. My grandma passed, and for lack of better terms, our power was cut off in the wintertime, right? My sister, she was living with us, and I vowed right there, like, hey, uh, I'm gonna make sure not only me but my little sister, she gets it too, right? We had our power off the whole winter, whole summer, and a lot of people don't know Michigan has some hot summers, and we don't have any AC. Our winters is very cold; it could be -5 degrees, right? And my sister, to this day, I'm right there behind my sister. My sister, I brought my sister here to live with me. She been living with us, me and my wife, for about three years, and that's the person who I am, right? I help my family, my community, and I'm not just a friend. I'm a brother. Everybody that know me call me brother, right? Because I'm always there for you, and I hold myself accountable, and I want individuals to hold me accountable as well. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna make mistakes as a assembly member, but we all make mistakes, right? Hold me accountable, and I know how to say, "Hey, I was wrong." I do it every day on the job where I'm at now at MNC. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna own up to it. I don't believe in throwing anybody under the bus because as a leader, I have to be able to direct individuals, right? So, as me directing, I'm gonna own up to it, and then also collaboration. It's not just me serving as assembly member. I'm serving the people. So I want to hear from the people. I want to be able to come into the people, come into the communities and hear exactly what they have. I don't want to just be in Sacramento. I want to be coming back and forth, hearing what you have and bring that back to California so we can get some real things done. And my mom, she live out here with us too. My mom gonna hold me accountable. She hold me accountable every day.
Oh well, you know how mamas are. They ain't gonna let you slide on nothing. But this is one of the things I think that a lot of people have developed, particularly in America. Look, America is a land of hypocrisy.
Mhm.
Everything. If you just look at the Constitution, they wrote, all men are created equal in the Declaration of Independence. Like we know that is not the reality. But
Mhm.
because it's good to have people like us in these positions, because representation is so important, how is the community honestly going to be able to hold you accountable? Because, like I say, your mom ain't going to talk to everybody. But what would a successful representative for District 18 look like with you at the helm? How would you gauge your success once elected?
Good question. So I was just gonna go off of past experience. And one of my appointments, I'm not gonna name any agency name, but one of my past employments, we had a particular incident where one of our clients was being called the N word, right? And there was a couple other things that was being missed, that wasn't done correctly at the agency, and I held the director and the CEO accountable, right? Called it out, so much so that I left, right? That's who I am, right? I don't believe in staying somewhere that's going to mistreat the community. I believe in standing up for the community and holding people accountable. And I'm just looking for the community to do that as well with me, right? Again, I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I know what's right and I fight for what's right. Um, I believe in being transparent as well, always being able to be reachable, right? So being able to provide my contact, which 9 times out of 10 it'll be accessible on the website, but being able to reach the people. I don't want to be an individual in an office that if I receive a email, it's just in a loop. I want to be able to communicate with the community, figuring out exactly what's going on, what's the problems, and being able to really support those people. I think a lot of times our candidates and our representatives, they get it, like you said, they get in office and we don't see them for another 2 years. So they asking, hey, um, I need your support. I need your buy-in. Nah, I'm, I'm a candidate and representative that's gonna be at your house, that you can invite me to your dinners, that you can I'm gonna invite you to my family events because we a community. Most of my colleagues, I'm still um, in acquaintances with as right now. Matter of fact, this is the first event that I have. I think I saw a question. This is the first event that I have for outreach. My first event first event I had was small. I did a little housewarming, and then some of my past coworkers and friends, they all came, and I told them about my candidacy. And yeah, I believe those individuals first and foremost will hold me accountable. And I have some amazing colleagues and peers and friends that would definitely, they are in rooms to hold me accountable, and in person they will hold me accountable as well.
Speaking of accountability, and I do like the statement you made of, as a leader, you have to be accountable for your team and those people that you're representing and those people who are backing you. Have you entered into any strategic partnerships with any of the local offices or officials?
Not as yet. I have a strategy. I really want to get uh, the police union. I really advocate for the police union, all three cities: Emeryville, Oakland, um, Alameda. So if y'all guys are watching, I'm supporting you guys. I'm supporting the unions for pay. Uh, I'm supporting you guys for more equipment. I'm seeing some of the equipment out here is outdated. They don't have no Hellcats, right? You see these, you seeing these guys, they speeding on the highway. They don't, and they got the old 1999 Ford Focus, the expeditions. Nah, we got to get them Hellcats. We got to get them some equipment to be able to come and chase these individuals. So that's the first endorsement I want to go after, and then I want to be able to go after a lot of these mom and pop stores, right? I want to get some endorsements. I want to do a real grassroots campaign. I want to be able to ensure that these mom and pop stores won't be vandalized, won't be robbed. We're seeing some of the most infamous and famous mom and pop stores being robbed. I believe Everett and Jones was robbed 3 times on Broadway within a month. That's ridiculous, right? So no matter if you black, brown, white, we all experiencing it. So I want to get some of these local mom and pop stores, and then I want the community, right? So I don't want to really go out for the big bucks. I don't think I don't think I believe I could beat my opponent without the major endorsements, right? Because I'm gonna have the people behind me, and that's what I really want. I want the $1, the $2, the $10, and I want to really work for my my seat, and I don't want to buy my way. I don't want to buy it. So, uh, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because you talked about the big bucks and the big donors, and I wanted to ask you something about some of the big corporate players that have been moving things around. Because again, looking at the news from Texas on what's going on in California, we can talk about the crime, you can talk about the homelessness, you can talk about the food deserts, but there seems that there is a strategic corporate divestment. It's like corporations are purposefully moving resources out of the community, out of the area. Do you have any type of strategy on how to address that type of divestment so that you could attract more businesses and more corporate investment back into the community?
Yeah, yeah. I really like what San Francisco is doing right now. They reimagining San Francisco. Excuse me, San Francisco, and they have this grant that's going on. I really think they got it right on that. I think New York after 9/11 they had to do the same thing because a lot of uh, individuals they had to go to the Twin Towers anymore. They was working from home, and I think we had to do the same thing in the Bay Area. One of the things I want to do want to keep individuals staying here. We're seeing a lot of people, like you said, moving out to Texas, Georgia, is lower taxes for the middle class. We are paying some of the highest taxes federally, state. It's ridiculous. We need to lower taxes in the state of California, and I'm gonna advocate to push that. Uh, I have a couple more things. I got it list down. Uh, Lowering taxes, and I know that when you say lowering taxes is going to say, hey, how are we going to provide all these services that California provide? I believe, and I've been doing it uh, as a leader. We can be able to provide those same services with less money. We can't always throw money at a problem. We have some of the smartest individuals in the country here, and we need to think harder, right? How can we solve a problem, not a temporary problem, right? A temporary solution. We need to give a permanent fix, right? So lowering taxes, I believe, will give a permanent fix to be able to keep individuals here in California. Also, uh, I want to cut the red tape. I want to cut the red tape on building building homes in California. It's taking some of these construction companies forever to get these permits to be able to build in California, especially in San Francisco and Oakland. You might see one or two construction projects in the whole city, and that's ridiculous, right? And so I want to be able to cut the red tape, and then also just reimagining District 18. How can we? I don't want to reinvent the wheel. San Francisco got it right. We need to bring that over to the East Bay. We need to bring it over to Alameda, Oakland, and Emeryville. Reimagine and bring up these pop ups, and be able to provide funding to the community, right? The community is smart enough to figure it out. Let's allow for the community to figure it out. We stand out the way, have a little oversight, and see what happens. I think it'll be a beautiful thing. I think we'll see a lot of more small businesses, some new major companies that sprout out of it, and we'll continue to be the uh fourth leading not country but state in the world.
So with your candidacy, right? I know, like you said, you don't want to go after the large endorsements, but with the community the way that it is, and a lot of businesses having to relocate and or just close their doors, how do you feel you can motivate these mom and pop shops and the community to not just believe in your vision, but to be able to pour into your vision? And
Right.
will you be trying to, in a part of your candidacy and what your vision is, how can we get those dollars circulating within our black and brown communities in District 18? We have, like in San Francisco, a lot of gentrification. We have a lot of like restaurants, especially in Oakland. There's so many new restaurants, but not with our faces. A lot of our business, like the mom and pop soul food restaurants and things of that sort, have had to close their doors. And now we have these new infusion restaurants, so to
Mm,
speak, where we are not represented. Um, what do you feel is a way to getting us to circulate that black dollar back into our communities and repairing, rebuilding, and replenishing our people with our businesses into both, especially Emeryville and Alameda? Oakland still has some of its staple businesses, but how do you think that you can influence and encourage those counties to getting more black and brown businesses open and or keeping their doors open?
yeah, I think that's a great question. One, I know I said lowering taxes for the middle class, but I definitely want to lower taxes for the um, small businesses, right? I think that'd be influential, not just for blacks, but for all small businesses, but definitely for blacks, because black and brown communities, because we see a lot of times that taxes is one of the main reasons why we can't keep our doors open, right? At the end of the year, Uncle Sam want his money, and we might have overspent, or we might have to lay off some individuals because we just cannot afford taxes and to have two or three extra staff members. And that's unfortunate, right? Because they have families as well. So lowering taxes on mom and pop businesses, I believe, is influential. One, education, right? I want to go back to the education. So um, re-envisioning how we structure our education is key, right? Starting, not always starting from adults, but sometimes we have to go back into and pour into our youth. So pouring into the high schools with the trades, and also education, business education courses. So our individual one can have a trade, plumbing, CNA, electrician, all those matter, right? And then also business courses. We need to have courses inside of high schools to teach them finances, to teach them how to budget, how to manage a business. That's all key um, for the next generation. And then also being able to just have monthly meetings with our mom and pop stores, especially in black and brown, especially a black community, just to educate them and give them the resources so they can be able to stay alive. There's so many grants out there. One of the things I will make sure I have on my as being a state assembly is having those resources, those grants, that resources federal funding and state funding resources on uh, my website, easy accessible, and having staff members to help those mom and pop stores apply for those grants so they can be able to keep those open. I think the Black and Brown community missed out on a lot of grants during COVID, and we need and as a state assembly, I want to make sure that we capitalize on those grants, right? Um, and then also, just again, I'm going back to lowering taxes. I think lowering taxes will ensure that we can be able to keep a lot of these mom and pop stores open. A lot of times, uh, it's just a difference of 150 to 100K that might be able to keep some of those stores open extra year or extra 2 years, and those taxes will be able to be able to offset some of those financial burdens that they might have.
Okay. Now, I've got a two-sided question because, again, there is a diverse population out there in California. You're going to have to get some support from some of the non-melanated constituents in the area. But I wanted to put that question in the context of your thoughts on the reparations conversation because it has got a lot of traction and momentum there in California. Where do you stand, and how do you think that would affect your ability to gain support from some of the non-melanated constituents in the area?
Yeah. Um, I'm fully behind reparations. This how I explain reparations, right? I heard a senator. He's running for I think District 3. I guess I think that's what it is. But he said, hey, he's a Democrat. I'm actually an independent, but he said, hey, I'm just going to let it. He said, I don't think it's going to pass. I just want to focus on education, etc. And I said, hey, uh, if my mom passed today and she owed taxes on her house, in order for me to continue to have that house, I have to pay that debt, right? Right. America promised black people funding. Y'all took it away. That debt is still owed, right? We worked for over 200 plus years, not even including post construction era, Jim Crow, etc. So I'm fully behind it. They owe us, and we need to get paid. And I'm glad that California took the initiative, especially San Francisco, the Bay Area. They really worked hard. I think all of the Bay Area, LA as well, they really worked hard on it. And I really love Senator Bradford. Senator Bradford, he just had proposed an amendment, SB 490. And what I don't know if you guys looked up SB 490. He's proposing a agency. I think it's called California American Freedom Affairs Agency, and I really like that plan. Right, to have an agency to support the black community with the resources that and the reparations and incentives that would be passed out to the black community that was affected by slavery, um, and how I believe it'd be affected. Um, well, I would just say this: I see that there was a lot of individuals that were a lot of communities that were not behind reparations, right? Which I think is alarming because the black community has done a lot for America as far as inventions, as far as civil rights for all people, right? So it's really alarming to me for an individual not to be supporting reparations. We have seen all uh, races in America receive reparations. So I think that's alarming that we don't have it, and I think that it's time to unify, right? I think we just have to keep having that conversation. Um, Somebody might say, "Hey, I'm not behind it right now," but me knocking on their door, having that conversation, really sitting down with them and educating them about slavery, about the effects of slavery, might change their minds. I can tell you a little story of my wife. She grew up in Fairfax County. That's one of the richest counties in America outside of DC. And me growing up in Detroit, my teachers were black, my principal was black, my doctor was black, everybody was black. So we was taught Black history. We know Black history if you're from Detroit, and so I figured, and we see it all over America, and we seeing that a lot of schools have been reducing or don't even teach Black history. So it's it's not I can't say it's understandable, but I can see where some individuals might feel that we don't deserve it because they being taught now that slavery was beneficial, right, in Florida, which is really alarming, right? So I think we need to just have that holistic approach, knocking at one door at a time, communicating with them, just educating them, not beating individuals down and say, hey, you don't agree with it. Ask them a question why you don't agree with it, right? And then giving them an approach to say, hey, this is how I stand, right? So our family fought in every war. Our family worked for free for over 200 plus years. Uh, and you see the effects of post slavery, right? Jim Crow, lynchings, right? Women getting hung, not even just a man, but women getting hung in the middle of the community. Post Jim Crow, you seeing crack epidemic, you seeing families getting split up. So the effects now is really tremendous. And if we don't tackle it right now, you're going to continue to see all the crime uptick, right? So I think I think that I can convince non-black individuals that it's better for them to advocate for it for our safety, just to make it a even playing field. You see, in the white community compared to the black community, wealth gap, right? I think our wealth is around 10,000 to 150,000 to the average white family, right? That's really alarming. How do you think someone who make family make an income of 10,000, $50,000 a year, what do you think they're going to do, right? I'm not saying that's the perfect thing to do is go out and rob and steal, but eventually, if they have kids that's hungry, they going to come take your belongings, right? So I think it's something beneficial for them to be able to even it out, so we can have a better, smooth community in the state of California and in America.
So, in other words, raising awareness by giving them examples of it could be you too, right? You know,
Mhm.
it's not because the reality is it's not just in our black and brown communities that these offenses are being made. They are starting to creep into the more fortunate and upscale neighborhoods, especially in San Francisco, where you would not think that the crime rate would be so alarming as it is, but it's starting to.
Yeah.
And for the fact that they are integrating our what were majority black communities with a lot of, I'll say for lack of a better word, allies. um, their experience is something that they feel like it's so outlandish, so you would think that they will be more involved in taking up arms to preventive care, right? Not being reactive and waiting for something to happen, but getting behind a candidate that is actually motivating and inspiring to be preventive. So, with that, what would you say, or how would you say um, you would be able to hold other local officers and officials accountable and raising the awareness to them and helping them, guiding them to get on one accord with raising these awarenesses in every community within the District 18, because you guys are Alameda, Emeryville, and Oakland. And when we think about crime rate, people specifically go to Oakland, right? Your mindset goes to Oakland. But raising the awareness that these crimes that we think that are just isolated to Oakland are now coming and creeping over into Emeryville, are now
Hmm.
coming over and creeping into Alameda. So
Yeah.
those officials that are already there, how would you be able to spin the pitch to them or to motivate and encourage them to get on board with you in these efforts?
Yeah. That's a great question. Um, First thing, uh, what I think we should do is have a system thinking meeting. So a system thinking meeting is just when a team of individuals get together and they problem solve. They look at what's going on right now and what's going on right now, so we won't have to re-evict the bill, and what problems is affecting right now, and then creating solutions. Right. Um, System thinking meaning can be very tough. Right. You have a lot of biases. You have a lot of individuals that might disagree, but that's not and those are reflectors, right? And you want those reflectors, right? So I'm not going to shy away from a reflector. Um, Matter of fact, I want the reflector there, right? So I'll give you an example. One of the policies I want to have is to be able to open carry. So in the state of California, you can't open carry, but it take you a long time for an individual might be able to open carry. They in Alameda, I think they have around 7 applicants to be able to open carry per year they accept. I want to increase that. I feel that every individual who legally uh, be able to pass the exam, every individual who mentally is stable should be able to open carry, right, to defer some of that deterrence that might come their ways. With that, I know a lot of candidates and officials in the District 8 team is going to be some reflectors, right? We don't need to fight crime with crime. We don't need to bring more guns into the community because it might harm families and kids, right? But you, but I want that, right? I want to hear that resistance so we can be able to come up with solutions, right? Because we see right now it's not working. Being individuals not being able to open carry, biz, businesses, well, business you can be able to carry, but individuals not be able to open carry is really affecting the morale in the community. Again, grandma is fearful. She's locking up everything. She don't even come out past 6 o'clock. She closing. It's still daylight. Moms going out with their kids. They don't even want to walk down Broadway because they afraid of getting robbed. So what? How are we going to reimagine that? Right? It can't. We just can't leave it all up to the police. Even with mass recruiting, we can't leave it all up to the police. As a man and as a woman, I know my wife and myself, we want to be able to defend ourselves if someone approaches us, especially when we have our little boy. We don't want to be able to have to say, I have to go to my trunk, or I have to go all the way home, or I have to call the police. And you call the police in Oakland, they already have the state reviewing them because their times is too slow, right? So I should be able to defend myself at that moment. So I know we're going to have some resistors, but with those resistors, we're going to be able to come up with the best possible solution, and then also bring the community involved, because ultimately, my say, or a resistor that's an official say, it's not the end all be all. It's all about what the community want. I think the community want to see. They want to be able to have open carry. You got individuals that served in the army that can't even open carry in Oakland. You seeing mass shootings. My wife a teacher. You seeing mass shootings. I don't want to have open carry in Oakland, me in the school systems, but we seeing these mass shootings everywhere in the parks. We seeing them in stores. You can't even go to a grocery store, right? Um, I want to be able to see us be able to defend ourselves. Also, one of the things I want to propose is um, hate bill for black people. We seen every nationality have one, and I think it's time for black people, and I think California need to lead that way. And I know I'm going to have resistors, but California and myself is going to make sure that we have that. We're going to have a hate bill starting off at District 18, and hopefully that hate bill in District 18 in California spearhead and knock on some of those Congress members and senators in D.C. so we can be able to have a hate bill and hold those individuals accountable that's going into these grocery stores that feel that they're comfortable going to these HBCUs that just killing black and brown people and hold them accountable, right? Give them the apple amount of time in prison that they deserve, right? Because our lives do matter, right? Black lives do matter. So I think with those two policies I just named, I know I'm going to have those resistance, those think tank, system thinking meetings, allowing for those resistors to resist, and helping spearhead a better solution. Because with that, we come up with so many possibilities and solutions. So
Wow.
With that, and of course, definitely you're going to get resistors and the but whys specifically for our Black community. Do you feel that the open carry law will have backlash in the back for Black people specifically? Like, they're gonna have so many limitations as to why, or what you can and can't have against you already, any prior or pre-existing um, issues with the law that will forbid or prohibit you from obtain an open carry law licensed weapon. What do you feel will be the backfire in our community and the limitations for our community when it comes to the open carry law?
yeah, so I can see some fear, right? Um, the black community having weapons because when you look on TV and you look at the media, all you see is black faces. Sometimes we don't even know if they black. They just have a ski mask on, and we assume that they black, right? So everyone assume when I go to stores, when I go to restaurants, I always see the faces of individuals thinking I'm gonna do something, and I'm like, hey man, I got 2 degrees. I got a family. I'm not trying to do nothing. So I definitely know that resistance is gonna happen, right? Um, what I will say is that the CDL to be able to have your CDLs, I think we should be able to follow the guidelines that they have now, right? Having those mental health checks, uh, background checks, felony wise, I don't think we should felons should be able to have a weapon. Um, Especially those that have murdered individuals, especially those have assaulted, um, rape, um, you name it. I don't think that they should qualify for those CDLs. But I do believe individuals that have some minor misdemeanors that should be able to have it. You have some obstruction of justice, those who just say, "Hey, talk back to the police," or I believe minor misdemeanors, especially if you have a couple years behind you, you should be able to have it. And I also believe that mental health checks, yearly mental health checks, screenings should be in place. But I would be totally against the biasness or the discriminations of blacks being able to have CDLs or open carry in the state of California. I think that's a constitutional right. What I know is a constitutional right, and we should be able to exercise that right. So, and I think honestly, you especially with black women, right? You see that black women are most unprotected, right? So I believe black women should be able to protect themselves 100% in a community, right? They have their children with them majority of the time. They with their family, and I think they should be able to protect themselves and their persons. And I believe they should be able to protect their children.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more on that. And you did hit on a couple of things that were really big to you. One was law enforcement support, the other was education. But specifically, when you're talking about law enforcement, what's your opinion regarding the privately paid San Francisco Patrol Special Police that's being expanded. Do you see any conflict of interest there?
Mm. I really don't know the scope of the privately paid police. I don't know their authority. I don't know if they have any authority under the Constitution, and if so, I think that'd be outlandish. I don't think privately paid police officers um, should have authority. Um, I believe that San Francisco and the Bay Area should be able to police themselves. The citizens should be able to police themselves, and we should have oversight of that. What I do think is be alarming of that is the oversight of privately paid police officers. Right? You have laws in place for city and state officials. Uh, if they ethically ethically kill someone, they could be persecuted at the highest end of the law. Well, my fear is a privately paid a police officer might not be able to. They might be able to bypass that with self defense or um, some other uh, BS law. So I think that we should continue to have uh, the structure is place, and to be able to have city and state police officers. What I do believe that the state should do is come in. I think the state troopers. If we don't have enough police officers again, I believe that we should count on the state to be able to come in and assist. I think Governor Newsom got it wrong. I think he should be. I think he should uh, send down some state troopers to be able to help San Francisco and Oakland, Alameda. I don't think we should rely on any paid, privately paid. Uh, I believe they're security guards. I think that's dangerous, honestly.
Okay, I definitely see where you're coming from. And the other thing, when you were talking about education, what about bringing like trade skills back into, say, middle school and high schools? Do you see yourself making a big push for the schools in the community for the trade skills to come back?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely pushing the trades. That's one of the things on my platform is to have CNA electricians. One of the things we also had, and I want to bring to Detroit, we had a trade school that had aerospace. I would love to see aerospace and District 18. Sorry, young youth would be able to be pilots. We should have more pilots in the air, hopefully and also being able to have credits towards their college if they want to go to college, if they want to attend that state funded HBCU, they already have those credits, and they're also reimagining how a college look like, right? So um, having those trades transition into that state funded HBCU, plumbing, electrician, pilots, alongside with the other liberal arts, education, criminal justice, nursing programs as well. So having those schools, matter of fact, having those trades centers right on the side of that HBCU. I would love for that to happen. That's what I would definitely push forward for. We to be able to bus. So half the school day would be you going to school, getting your general education, and if you want to elect to do a trade, we bus you to your trade center, and having that trade school on the side of that HBCU, right? So that they can have a pipeline to that education. That's how I envision it. We can have, but I also want to have it for on the side of Alameda Community College, right? For individuals that say, "Hey, I don't identify with as HBCUs. I might want to go to Alameda Community College, or I might want to go to uh, yeah, um, yeah, Alameda Community College. Put it right on the side. Those two schools, and I believe we'll see an increase of individuals that have that continue their education.
I think that coincides with what you were saying about teaching the financial literacy. My
Mhm.
son was very fortunate in eighth grade when they were returning to in person after being quarantined for so long. And the teachers were able to build their own curriculum. I think that in its own would be a great advantage for our students, for our teachers to actually I to identify the way that their students learn and build a curriculum around that. And especially for our schools who that are in the Black and Brown communities, because we aren't privy to knowing financial literacy, because everything's a struggle when it comes to finance for the most part. Let me not say a general blanket statement, but for the most part, I think it definitely plays into, teaching financial literacy to our children, and showing them that learning a trade is not a limitation, because somebody you're always going to need a plumber. They always are needing carpenters. These type of careers are something that's going to give you longevity. And when you already have you're already afforded the financial literacy, you'll see how to become your own boss in learning that trade. So that's a awesome, and it gives you a leg up. It gives you a leg up instead of trying to figure it out after high school, implementing it middle school and high school. It helps so much. It helps. I know for my son, speaking from experience, it blossomed him, like where he was like, Mom, I want to learn stocks. I want to learn, I want my money to make money for me. Like it made him go somewhere else. He's already like really like a whiz kid when it comes to math, but it encouraged him and inspired him like to really want to grow more into his financial literacy. He
Man.
was able to work this past summer and saved all his checks, didn't spend a dime, and was like, I'm making my money work for me. You know what I mean? But being able, just that one semester in eighth grade, that teacher took the time to learn the way that his students learned and implement it in his curriculum. What
Mm.
don't you know? What do you want to learn? And implementing that. That'll be a great part for teachers all around. And with the teacher shortage, especially now that we have so limited teachers, they can build their curriculum around the way that the students learn, because the classes are bigger. Now you can get them focused on learning the way that they want to learn, and they'll engage more. So I think that's an amazing output and perspective. I hope and pray that everything that you are putting forth comes to fruition. And, even if it's God's will, let him have his way. But hopefully, some of these ideals that you have are picked up along the way and starting to be implemented in our community and in District 18. And you guys can pick up some things from us here in San Francisco. Each one teach one.
Yeah, definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
Before we let you go, I just want to thank you for coming on this evening and making time. We see you at Starbucks. That's dedication. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. If you have anyone you want to give a shout out to, anybody you want to thank for even encouraging you and motivating you and inspiring you to start to do your candidacy, this is your time to give your shout outs.
Thank you, Miss White. Um, I want to just thank you guys for letting me come on you guys' platform. Y'all doing so much in the community. I want to thank God first and foremost. He's been remarkable in my life. He talks to me every day, and I believe that he was the real ultimate driver for me to run. Uh, I want to give a thanks to my wife. My wife, she's been in my corner 100%, and I appreciate her for letting me be out this late. um, I want to give a shout out to Dream Keepers. Uh, uh, man, they've been really giving back, and they've been really just making that that platform, how that motto of how you should do it. how you should do it for the community, and I'm hoping that they continue to drive and continue to fund um, Dreams Keeper because we definitely need it. I want to thank District 18, Oakland, Alameda, and Emeryville for allowing me to just come and be in that space. Right, Alameda is a tough place to live. It's very expensive, and I appreciate all the opportunities they awarded me and my family, my mom's, my sister, uh, and my whole family. So it, that's about it. That's about it. Oh yeah, I want to shout out my friends. My friends, they always give me support. I'm always talking to them, just always giving me the encouragement to drive and always being supportive. So
All right, and again, one more thing, because normally, like I say, if you was having a political debate, you'd get like a last little 30-second spot to address the potential voters and constituents in the community. So, what is your message to the community and the voters that you want them to have going into this election?
yeah. Um, so I just want to tell the community that hey, this is a big election. Um, just not just with District 18, but with the presidency. Let's get it right. Let's really look at these candidates. Let's see what they really going to drive forward for the next 4 years. With District 18, we need to get it right. We've been seeing the crime rate been increasing. We've been seeing a large increasement in our students' classroom, and we've been seeing employment being decreased. We need to turn it around. We need someone that's going to hold everyone accountable and ensure that District 18 is a place that families want to continue to reside, that our youth have a great education, and that employment is here to stay. Um, so continue to look at me and be able to vote for Andre Sandford for the next assembly member of District 18.
And there you have it, Mr. Andre Sanford community. Y'all have had the privilege and honor. You see, this man is dedicated. He's shutting down the Starbucks. They moving chairs around, and this brother is committed to coming out and letting y'all know what's going on. Mr. Sanford, thank you again. Blessings to you. Thank your family again on our behalf and on behalf of our executive director, who had the advantage of learning from an HVAC trade school like you were pushing. He wish he could have been here, but on his behalf, we want to sincerely thank you for spending this time with us this evening on both sides of the conversation. And we must wish you the best of luck in your pursuit for the State Assembly District 18 position.
Thank you so much. And y'all have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Wow, wow, wow. Io, when you've got people that committed, that dedicated, who are that well versed and experienced, are willing to dedicate their time in the community to get their message out, you've got to feel good about him. You've got to feel good. I usually give politicians a hard time. I ain't gonna lie. I'm real skeptical of people who run for political office, but I can hear the sincerity in his voice. I can see it in his eyes. And I think District 18 would do well to elect him as their state assembly representative.
I appreciate you asking the hard questions. You did give him some pushback, and not even goading him in or trying to be in a debate type of banter, but actually giving him a moment for some transparency. We do have a vast viewers, and that may give them a little more insight to who he is, and you want to be a little more familiar, not just what you read on Google, especially when it comes to politicians. I appreciate that he has some history. I appreciate that he has some experience, and not just saying we need to change these things in our communities because other people are complaining about it. No, it's his experience. That's what I appreciate. That's just, I say that in a lot of things though. It's hard to take advice and or hear encouragement from someone who has yet to experience what it is you're trying to coach me on. So with him having, not that it was a great experience, you know, with him being robbed and him and his wife having to experience that,
So
but it
sad.
lit that fire, you know. I always say turn negative energy into positive doings, because in that moment, you never know what the reaction can be. But to be proactive, take a step back, and now to say, I want to be a part of the solution and not add fuel to the fire of the problem, because you don't know what you're going to get in any of these communities. But keeping an open mind, having a willing heart, and having the drive and the ambition to stand on it and want to be a part of that, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I hope that the community backs him and the community watches this broadcast and anything else that they may have questions on. Like he said, he wants to be an open book. He wants to be relatable. He wants to be able to, for people to be able to reach him. And I appreciate that. Some people get into office and they're like, oh, now I'm untouchable. No, stay relatable, because now we're going to hold you accountable. And being able to holding yourself accountable, number one, it shows that you are standing up for the people, because you are the people, you know. That was a really great interview. And I appreciate, you know, him not being from out here and wanting to take a stand for our communities. I'm born and raised here in California, San Francisco. And for someone to move here, see the problem, and want to be a part of the solution, that's big. That's really big.
That is absolutely huge. And so there again, community, I'm glad we get an opportunity to have a real honest conversation, because again, when people are campaigning, you don't normally get to see who they truly are. They're usually kind of pandering to whatever their audience is, or you know, they're trying to say what they think people want to hear. But you can see he's put real thought into it. He has legitimate political experience in multiple locations. He's been involved in executive decision making in Michigan. He's been involved in large political executive decision making in Alabama, and he brings that wealth of experience and a heart. He's a father, he's a family man. He's planted himself in the community there, and he's helping people already. I don't think that you could go wrong voting for him to be your representative there for State Assembly in District 18, California. So, community, find him, search him out, support him. And again, I know he probably not gonna ask for it, but I'm saying if some of y'all big money donors got some money to spend on a candidate, I think that is your guy. So y'all please reach out, connect, support him. And again, on behalf of everybody here, both sides of the conversation, we want to make sure that you get the real deal. You get the whole story from both sides. So, with that, Sister Ayo, everybody in the community, I think we should bid you a good night. And on behalf of the bishop, y'all be blessed. Good night.